Okay, check. Interesting. I think we're good to go. Let me just check. Okay, looks like we're live, maybe? One sec. Let's see if we can validate that right quick. Exploring Omarchy. Wow, 3 people watching already. What? That's wild. I pull it up myself and it throws me straight into an ad. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, cool. There's me. Let's give it a shot. And I've got some new tools set up, so hopefully I should be able to have the chat work a little better than before. Oh, actually, it looks like it's still busted. Dang it. Let's fix that. Okay. Pop out chat. Sorry about that. We'll grab this one. And let's paste that here. Okay, cool. Let's get to it. So yeah, what I want to do today, I'm gonna be trying Omarchy out, and I want to work on some Zig. So I've got a project called HTTP spec. And cool. Had some interesting stuff where I built this and ran it, and it failed to run successfully on Linux, which was kind of interesting. I didn't expect that, but the solution there was we can just look at the sorry, head -1. We could just look at the diff really quick. Yeah, so that's it. On Mac, it was fine to not pass in the iterate flags on opendir, but for Linux, we need to pass that in, and I'm sure it's fine on Mac as well. So got that working on Linux, which feels good. But what I want to do now is I want to look at libcurl and work on that. So I'm going to try to remember all of the hotkeys I need. That's not the one I wanted. We want the browser. Yeah, cool. So I want to pull in libcurl. We're doing some stuff with Zig with the standard HTTP client. The goal of HTTP spec is to support HTTP 1 or 2 or 3 and everything in between. And unfortunately, the Zig standard HTTP client does not fully support all of those. So I was looking at this really cool project called Hurl. I'm just gonna have to search for it. And it probably would be good if I typed it properly too. Okay, so yeah, this one. Hurl, run, and test HTTP requests with plain text. It's kind of interesting. I mentioned the HTTP spec to a friend, and he suggested taking a look at this because he thought there's a lot of overlap, and it turns out there is. But warning, the stream quality is lower than the recommended bitrate. How do I change the bitrate? Let me see if I can fix that really quick. Okay, let's try this. Okay, cool. Hopefully better bit rate. We'll give it a shot. Okay. So yeah, hurl. So it's a command line tool that runs HTTP requests defined in the simple plain text format. This is actually kind of similar in a couple ways to what I'm hoping to do with HTTP spec, also an HTTP test tool, so even more so than one might expect that it's similar or the similarities. But I don't necessarily think that's bad. I think that hurl is a cool tool that I can take some inspiration from and continue building out HTTP spec. Looks like the bitrate issue's been fixed too, which is good. DHH got into me too. Well, so in full transparency, I've been running. Let me grab it since it's right here. I've been running this MacBook for it's an M1. I got it like right as the M1s were announced, and I ended up buying the cheapest MacBook Pro that I could because at the time I was just doing web dev. I started doing some Flutter development, started recording videos via OBS and running OBS and the Flutter at the same time, and Docker to spin up a server to have the Flutter app make HTTP requests to. The computer just couldn't handle it. Yeah, sorry, I'll ramble if you give me a chance to answer questions. But I started doing more and more stuff with my laptop, and I got to the point where it wasn't really meeting my needs with a MacBook Pro. So I figured I would try a framework. So I bought a framework. I've built a framework. I'm running a framework 13 with Omarchy. The plan is try Omarchy, and if I can't seem to get into it, maybe try Nix. And if I can't seem to get into it, then just default to like Fedora or Ubuntu or something like that. So we will see how it turns out. But for now, we're going to try Omarchy. And so far, I've been enjoying it. I'm definitely stumbling a lot, but I've been a Mac user for 15 years now. So yeah, it's very, very different. Okay, so we talked a little about hurl. Hurl actually uses curl under the hood, which I started looking into that, and I was like, hey, that seems like a good idea. So what I want to do is find some bindings for Zig. I know they exist. I've looked them up previously. There is right here. And this is still being maintained too, which is also nice. Okay, so we're on main. So what we're gonna do is, let me just make sure Zig is working. Okay, Zig, fetch, save, curl, HTTPS. You know what? We're just gonna copy this instead. Let's do that. And then we need to change this from tag.zip to an actual tag. So let's do vo.3. Oh, shoot. Let's try that again. I definitely don't need to pull up github.dev. vo.3.1.zip. Okay, cool. Great. Build.zig has changed. We need to add our dependency. I'm using this little dependency slice iteration mechanism that I wrote to manage these dependencies for me. So in theory, all I need to do is just add curl there. That being said, let me make sure that I'm not missing something. We need to link libc. Are we already link? No, we're not linking libc. Okay, cool. So we have, let me make the text a little bigger. And now I've got to figure out how to do that. There we go. Cool. This will be better for me too. So we have dependencies. There we go. So that's for our tests. Here's for our root module. So we should just be able to come in here and grab the exe, root module, link libc, link libc. Was this changed? Is this link libc now? Interesting. Let's find out. That's dated. Link libc. Okay, cool. Yeah, it should be just link libc. Is it just on the exe? exe.link. It is just on the exe. Okay, cool. Should be good. And then I guess we also probably need to do that for our test artifact. We'll come back to that if we find that we need to. Let's just go ahead and give this a Zig build, make sure it builds. Cool, that's a good sign. It definitely was a bit more of an involved build process than before, so I think we are linking libcurl properly. So let's head back over here and see if we can find some examples of how to use this. There's a GPA here, allocator, a certificate bundle. Yeah, haven't had to think about that yet. Allocating space for the CA bundle. Okay, we'll probably want to use curl easy. Can pass in the CA bundle. Very curious what else you can pass in here. Oh, this is just for configuration, so fetching would be down here. Cool. Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. Let's fire up an editor. So let's hop into our HTTP client. What do we want to do? We want to find... Are we currently using fetch? No, we're not using fetch. What are we doing down here? Client request. Okay. So yeah, we have this execute method. Let's just start working on this here. So we know that we need the CA bundle. I'm going to type this stuff out because it helps me remember it. So alloc CA bundle allocator. And this will actually be self.allocator because there's an allocator on... Oops, there's an allocator on the HTTP client. We'll need to hop up here and add an import. Const curl import curl. Okay, so we have our CA bundle. We have an unused local constant. That's totally fine. We're going to defer CA bundle dinit. And then we're going to get an easy curl instance available. So there's the easy curl, and then there's the not easy curl. It's not called difficult or advanced or anything. Actually, it might be called advanced now that I'm seeing this here. But there are essentially a couple different ways of working with the curl library. So we're just going to stick with easy for now because I think that will take care of our needs. So we have curl, and then try curl.easy.init. Give it some options. In our case, we need to pass in the CA bundle. Oh man, I did not carry my dot files over to Omarchy yet. I was gonna just try it out of the box and see how I feel about it, and my Vim key bindings are actually a little more different than I expected. For someone who has basically used lazy Vim out of the box with just a couple of changes, those couple of changes are really rubbing up against me. Looks like we also need to defer easy.dinit. And what's kind of interesting is so every time we execute, we're creating a new curl client. We probably could pull that out somewhere higher and not have to do this every single time. For now, we can just keep it here, and then we can optimize later. Okay, so we have our easy.dinit. We need a writer. What is this writer used for? Looks like it's used for response writing. Okay, so we have a writer here, standard IO dot writer dot allocating. Okay. I'm actually a little unfamiliar with the allocating writer. So if we go to definition here, this maintains a writer state such that it writes to the unused capacity of an array list, filling it up completely before making a call through the vtable, causing a resize. Consequently, the same optimized non-generic machine code that uses standard I/O reader, such as formatted printing, takes the hot paths when using this API. Interesting. You don't have to call flush. That's also good to know. Hotkeys. Do I remember them? No. Try this. Nope. Oh, you're killing me. Okay. That's one thing I got to figure out too. I know that Hyperland is intended to be pretty mouse free, or at least Omarchy is intended to be pretty mouse free, but I'm still using a mouse for some things. And when you move your mouse over a window, it changes the focus that you're typing in. So if I were to just get my cursor out of the way, I'm now, anytime I would type, I'm now doing things in this window over here, which happens to be a web browser, which isn't great. I guess another option is I could throw the web browser onto another workspace, but yeah, I'll figure out this workflow eventually. So we have our allocator, and I do want to keep this up because I am referring to it for now. Defer writer dinit, thank you. And then we can actually, okay, so we get a response that has everything but the body, I'm assuming, and then the body gets sent to the writer. So in our case, we can do easy.fetch. We have a URL and some fetch options. That works. Kind of interesting. I guess we don't need to create a URI in that case. Might still be good too. But this should be what, request.url. And then we'll have to figure out what these request options look like, because at this point, I do not know. We can take this and pass in the writer here. And it looks like standard debug print. Okay, we'll copy this verbatim for now. And they're doing rest.status code, writer.writer.buffered. Okay. Yeah, so the reason I'm doing this is I just want to make sure that the curl stuff works. So if I do zig build run, we should be executing with curl, and we're not. Okay. Expected, interesting. Destination pointer requires a 0 sentinel. I've not seen that before. So we're going to take this, see if I can remember the hotkey to copy. Paste it over here. Yeah, I also don't understand that. Oh, this is interesting. Since you have an array list, you could just append a 0 and cast.items. Interesting. To owned slice sentinel. Okay, yeah, let's see what we have on the slice itself. Sentinel? Nothing? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fair. Interesting. I don't remember how to set up a break, but I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, one sec. Okay, let me figure out how to start a break really quick. Okay, I will be back in just a second. Sorry. Someone is at the door. Yeah. Oh man, thank you for letting me know there was no audio. I had my mom called and I totally forgot to unmute my mic. That's embarrassing. Okay, cool. So let me just walk through really quick what I did in case you were tuning in and you heard the audio go out and not come back. So working with C strings is not something I've had to do a lot in Zig yet. So I was looking at uh, how I would take this curl library that I'm using, curl bindings for Zig essentially, and convert a dynamic string into a null terminated C string. So thankfully, was able to find that the allocator has the dupe Z method that we can use to duplicate the request URL into something that is null terminated. So now that we've done that, let's give this a Zig build run. And yeah, sorry, we need to try that, don't we? Let's hop back over to the HTTP client. And this needs to happen or else we fail. Give this a Zig build run, status code. Okay, cool. So there's a couple different things going on here. We're still, there's no body, there's no body. There is a body, that's totally fine. We are making the curl request now, but we're still doing the old HTTP client request. So we're also not doing nearly as much as we are with the HTTP client. So yeah, we have our CA bundle. What do we do here? So we take in our request.method. Can we change the method on this curl client? Is there a method? There is a method. Okay, so we'll do request.method. And really, that type matches. Shocked. Okay, we have our request.method. Headers, maybe? Headers. Okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot. Okay, sure. What else do we have? We have our method, we have our URI, we have our headers. We could potentially have a body. Is there a body? Am I just... Okay, cool. I was a little worried that my LSP was giving me a bunch of nonsense, but it doesn't seem that that is the case. I'm going to hop back over to this Zig curl library that we're using and see if I can find an example of them sending a body. Here's a post, here's a payload. Yeah, body is the payload. It looks like it's just a string. What is... It's just a string for us too. All right, sweet. This is actually going to be hopefully kind of easy. What else do we have going on here? What can we gut anything? So we're doing all the sending. So we can take this URI parse stuff. We can take this request stuff, get rid of it, get rid of this, take care of the request body. Yep, delete all of that. Okay, and then we have our raw response that we're getting back. So in our case, this is just resp now. Oh, this is a great song. Okay. So, man, there's so much going on here. So we have a decompression buffer. I don't think we need any of this decompression stuff anymore. I think that, and I could be wrong on this, but I think that the curl library is going to take care of that for us, which is nice. Okay, so we have our response. Sure, this seems like this should just be resp.status. Oh. What is this? It's an HTTP status. What is an HTTP status? Is it just an I-32? Content encoding. Am I missing something that would allow us to take a number and convert it to a status? Phrase. Oops. That binding is different than on my MacBook. Okay. Let's come back to that. It may work. It may not. Okay, cool. So I think we'll still need the header iterator piece, unless there's something else going on here that I should know about. So we have response dot, beautiful, response dot iterate headers, really. What are the options here? Only matching a specific name, which request you want headers from, useful when there are redirections. That's actually really neat. That's not something I think we'll need in this case, but that is good to know that that's an option. So this is going to give us that header iterator. Hey, Johan. Thanks for joining. Okay, so we have our header name, our values. We're duping those. That looks pretty good. I don't think... Okay, I'm going to remove the decompressed pieces here. Shouldn't need that. Shouldn't need this. Raw response reader decompressing. Shouldn't need that. Okay, and then getting the body should just be writer.writer.buffered. Have you read HTTP1 must unalive? I have not. Is that... Have you read HTTP1 must unalive? The way you said that makes it sound like it's like an article or a paper or something. Or are you just referring to specifically part of the HTTP1 unalive spec, or spec in regards to unalive? Yeah, let's give this a shot. Expected easy method found. Okay, cool. So we need to map the easy method to an HTTP method. So let's see. Let's take a look at the source code and see if we can figure out what that looks like. Source. Easy. Show me method. Yeah, it's an article or more website with an interesting and expected take. It was my comment you pinned under... Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, this one. HTTP1 must... Okay. Yeah, this is okay. Am remembering this now. Uh, Kind of interesting. To my knowledge, they will actually be renamed to Bitpack, so it's more obvious what it does. Okay. One of the things that I've seen with the Zig standard HTTP client is, to my knowledge, it only supports HTTP 1.1. Or 1.0 or 1.1, I guess I should say. So, yeah. And then you can see here that the request, the version defaults HTTP 1.1, same with options. So, part of the goal was to support those other versions of HTTP with the move to curl. That's so interesting. Join the mission to kill HTTP 1.1. Probably shouldn't say this word on stream. I feel like that's a good way to get in trouble. Okay. That's a single HTTP request can make a website lose track of which responses should go to which users, resulting in a massive disclosure of confidential information. This typically results in the user being randomly logged into other live users' accounts. Man, that is so bad. That actually, I am familiar with a company that was using Akamai for their CDN, and they were trying to minimize uh, requests to their servers when they could cache things through the CDN, as people do with the CDN. And they were a little overzealous, and they ended up caching things that included user tokens. And convert. I know this is not the same issue, but conversely, when someone was accessing a page, they would be accessing another user's page because the token was cached as well, which terrible. This is also scary too, specifically the call out for PayPal's login page. That is, I use PayPal quite a bit, or have at least. Maybe I shouldn't. We can't patch HTTP 1.1 to safety. Yep, more vulnerabilities are on the way. There's a link to a white paper here too. HTTP 2 must be used upstream. Perfect. Yeah, my knowledge of these protocols and the different standards across the specs, the different specs across the standards, is somewhat limited, mostly from a consumer's perspective. But when I started building HTTP spec and I realized that HTTP files support HTTP 1.0, 1.1, 2.0, and 3.0, and I realized that I could only support HTTP 1.0 and 1.1 with Zig out of the box, that felt a little weird to me, and it was something that I've always wanted to change. But I didn't really have a great incentive to change that. But this really helps make that use case. Also, we're working on it now, so hopefully we'll get it fixed and be good to go. HTTP file, HTTP client. Let's get in there. Okay, so we need to take this method and convert it to curl. So we have a method here. Oh, dang. Okay. So yeah, this is from the standard library. That totally makes sense. I remember originally I had my own enum here, and I was like, well, let's just use what the standard library has. So do we have any middle ground for this? I don't see one, so I think what we end up doing here is we probably write a mapping. We'll just do it up here for now. We'll call it map method for curl. And what it's going to do is it will take in a HTTP files method. And this will be called method. And it will return a curl.method. curl.easy.method. There we go. And it looks like this is, yeah, okay, cool. So it's HTTP files, HTTP request. Is method not HTTP files? Method's right up here, isn't it? Oh, it's not an HTTP files method. I just mentioned this. It's standard HTTP method. Forgot about that. Okay, cool. So let's hop back over here. Oh, man. And then we can just switch this, right? So we can switch method. If it's a .get, then we just want to return OpenSSL quick is for HTTP3 as a base, but I currently cannot build OpenSSL without cloning the repo, what I do not expect to do. Yeah, I understand that. I feel like over the years, OpenSSL has been like, it's gone from a pain to implement or a pain to incorporate, and then into something really easy, and then back to a pain, and then back to something easy, and then back to a pain. And you never know what you're going to get with OpenSSL. Okay, so we have a get, and we want to return curl.easy.method.get. Okay, cool. Should just be able to do this, yeah. This looks so strange, but I guess it makes sense. Delete will go to delete. Head goes to head. Missing patch. So patch goes to patch. And then get, post, put, head, delete. I think we're good. It will let me know here. Interesting. Okay, let's just throw another terminal up here. Projects, HTTP spec, Zig build run. Oh yeah, we actually probably need to call that, don't we? So let's hop back down here. And this is map method for curl. Let's give that a shot. Zig build run. Expected HTTP method found. Maybe HTTP method. Can we actually get into a spot where we don't have an HTTP method? I feel like this is a type issue on my part. So why? Okay, let's do something different. Can I grab another workspace? Is that this? Yep. Throw up a browser. Oh, wrong thing. Throw up a, close that, throw up a browser. I want HTTP files. Show me the Microsoft website. Oh, I have to click. Okay. HTTP method URL, HTTP version. Okay, cool. There's no reason that you shouldn't have an HTTP method. Oops, let's swap back over. Yeah, this should not be null. There's no reason for it to be null. I guess the okay, so the the issue there is when we initialize it, we don't require one to be passed in. So it could be null, but it shouldn't be null. So instead, maybe let's just default it to get for now. To do this can't be null, but defaulting to get feels weird. Make that a problem for tomorrow. What is the freaking keybind? Okay. Show me. I don't really want Neo Tree. Perfect. Okay, cool. Sorry, that is a different keybind than the one I have on my dot files for my Mac. I might pull those over. I might just start fresh too. I don't have too many changes, but apparently the ones that matter are the ones that I've changed. Um, okay, cool. Let's give this another go. So Zig build run. Parser 105. Yeah, we're gonna have some issues that we need to fix, don't we? So let's hop into parser. Let's hop over to 105. We're here. It can't be null, which is great. So cool. Simplify that a little bit. Let's give this another run. Parser 133. You got it. Let's see. Parser 137. Should we throw a fit if we are parsing the content and we can't parse a method? I think we should throw a fit instead of just assuming it's a get or similar. So if somehow, some way you are giving me a method that is not a valid method, yeah, we should definitely throw a fit parsing. Maybe we should make it cleaner at some point, but for now, this is fine. Uh, 137. Oh. Okay, 161. Yep, that's a case that can't exist anymore. Okay, that makes sense. How we doing? HTTP client 67. I'm now starting to feel like it makes sense for me to have my own enum method just so I can have like an undetermined enum status instead of defaulting it to get. But again, we can maybe make that a problem for another time. I'd like to get curl working first. Okay, connect options trace are not supported. So, yeah, let's give this a shot. This is actually going to return an error now, error union. And unsupported method. Prong only allowed when switching on non-exhaustive enums. Notice the prong here. Consider using else. Oh, yeah. That, my bad. Yep, that totally makes sense. Not sure why I thought I'd get away with that without throwing a try on this. Let's go to references, throw a try here. Hop back over to this. I'm starting to get the hang of Omarchy. I'm actually really glad that people have tuned in for this. Mostly I'm using this stream as an excuse to set for 2 hours and just fudge around with Omarchy for about 2 hours straight and try to make sure that these keybinds and stuff are starting to click. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but the stream, But the plan was to try Omarchy, and if I can't make Omarchy work for whatever reason, I kind of want to give Nix a try. I had a former coworker who was very big on Nix and loved it. And then if I can't make that happen, which I feel like I would struggle with Nix more than Omarchy personally, go to like Fedora or Ubuntu or something. Okay, cool. So yeah, we have some issues, right? I just ran this, I think. HTTP client 55. Oh, depends on value with comp time only type. Depends on runtime control flow. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Okay, so there's not any like weird comp time stuff going on here in easy.zig. I'm gonna have to copy this and search for it. I don't know if I've seen that. I like that the AI overview just like when you throw an error message in Google and the AI overview comes up, it basically just like tells you what the error message says verbatim. The error message value with comp time only type error unsupported method type enum literal depends on the runtime control flow. In Zig indicates that a value can only be determined at comp time is being used in the context that depends on runtime execution. Like, yeah, that is literally what this error message says. This often occurs when dealing with types, especially enum literals within control flows such as switch expressions. For example, if a switch expression determines the type of a variable based on a runtime value, then that type is a comp time only value, like an enum literal. The compiler cannot resolve it at comp time, leading to this error. Okay. What? What am I? What am I doing wrong then? This has to be comp time, yes? No. Comp time index. On the switch, like right here? I'm unfamiliar with that. Let me oh my gosh, Omarchy, you're tripping me up. Zig comp time index enums. Hi, Scally T. Welcome to the stream. Crashes the compiler. That seems intense. This probably is not what I want. Zig switch enum. Yep, case else. That makes sense. Okay, so here's the part that's tripping me up. What part of this is comp time? Right? So the curl easy method is not comp time from what I can see. I mean, I guess enums and just in general are going to be at comp time, so that could be part of the issue. Okay. I feel like this is probably an issue with mapping enums to enums. Oh, okay. Value with comp time only type, error, unsupported method, or at type enum literal depends on runtime control flow. Just out of curiosity, if we remove the error case here and we just swap this to a get, do we still run into that? We do. In super HTML, there are some elements that need a list comp time index var. That's why I think that. Oh, interesting. Okay, I've not seen that in any of Loris's streams. I might need to actually look at the source and take a look at that in just a minute. Okay, yeah, it still is an issue even if we return an error type here, or even if we don't return an error type here. Let's see. Let's hop over and let's actually just throw this in a new window right quick for practice more than anything else. Super HTML. Okay, and you said comp time index. Okay, cool. There's definitely some use cases here, plenty from what I can tell. What does it do? Wrong key. Comp time index. And I started learning Zig 2 days ago because of you. Because of me? Oh my. After 2 days, finally I can read from a file. I've never been so happy to be able to read from some random text from a file. I understand the feeling. My background is not systems programming or really low language stuff. The lowest I've gotten has been Go before Zig, and I guess Tiny Go if you really want to be pedantic about it too, getting even lower than that. But a lot of the things that I feel like I can do in normal languages, I feel very proud and very powerful when I can do those in Zig. So I totally understand, and it warms my heart to know that you started learning Zig because of me. Also, on that note, like if you have questions and it would be easier, yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to comment on any video that you have questions on, and I'll do my best to answer them. But we also have a Discord server that you can join. If you go to any recent video of mine, I've got a link in the description. If you want to join that server and hang out with us there, that is, always welcome as well. Okay. Zig standard lib. I want, yes, thank you. This is what I want. Comp time index. What do you do? Oh, well, look at that. Can't even find you anymore. Comp time index. Is this something that Loris has written then? Is my next question. What is attributes? No. What is attributes? Where the hell is attributes? Interesting. List set get index name or else compile error. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that is not what I was expecting. Oops. Let me get fresh logs here. I did not know that it was custom. Yeah, me either. That makes sense though. I was like, I've never seen this before, and not that I've read through like all of the Zig source code or standard library, but I feel like I would have ran into something like that and was not expecting it. Value with compile time only type. Okay, at what point does this not? I'm just curious at this point. At what point does this not have that issue? Should still have that issue. Oh my goodness. Okay, this needs to try. That makes sense. We're missing a return. I'm shocked that yeah, that was it. We're just missing the return. That error message was not very helpful for missing a return. I get that like I should have just written the return and like the tiny I overlooked something very basic to writing Zig. And it gave me a way more involved error message for like probably a legitimately real problem that would be a pain to work with and good to be surfaced. But yeah, just missing the return feels bad. 82. What do we got? Okay. We every single one of those headers needs to be converted. Let's do some converting then. So yeah, we'll do for request.headers.items. How do we want to do this? So yeah, we'll just take an empty array list, I guess. And we'll iterate through the headers. And we'll take a header, yeah, header name, header value. Okay, what's the what is the type? So we have an optional slice of const slice. Okay, so an optional slice of 0 terminated strings. Let me see if I can find an example. And let me make this a little bigger for you and me as well. Okay, Zig curl, show me headers. Oh, I am back in the source, aren't I? I'm slightly less interested in the source and more interested in examples at the moment. So is there a header example here? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's not too bad. So let's do that. Let's do some formatting. So we can do we want the name, we want the value. I feel like there's got to be an easier way to convert them, but if not, then I guess we can just do standard fumpt alloc print. What does alloc print sentinel do? That might be what we want actually. Sentinel. Yeah, I think that's actually what we want then. Cool. That works out well. So self dot, we have an allocator to work with here. We need a format. We need some args, and then we have our sentinel, right? So what's our funct? Our funct is going to be, we have a string and we have a string, so this will be really easy. It'll be that, and then it'll be header dot name, header, if I can type, header dot value, give that a quick write. What are we missing? Oh, this is invalid syntax. Let's give that a type and not. Okay, so need to give this something. So I'm just going to call it S, which beautifully descriptive name. We'll try to do that. And then we want to do headers dot append self dot allocator, and then we'll append S. Is it possible to? Okay. What is the type there? I guess it doesn't matter too much. So we have our headers. Does this make sense? Let's look at our example. Yeah, I think so. Okay. And then we need to do some defers, right? So we can defer. Let's iterate through all of these. So it'll just be headers, header, self.allocator.free, header. And then after that, we can do self.allocator. Do we headers dot dnet? Okay, we do need to pass in the GPA there. Still not super familiar with the unmanaged versions, but that's not too bad to work with. Let's give this a run, see how this is shaking out. Error union is ignored. Yep, that makes sense. Let's fix that. Yep, not indexable. That makes sense. This needs to become items. Whoops. What time is it? Almost 2 o'clock. Okay, we'll go a little bit longer. Is that internal? Is what internal? Sorry, when you have things in chat that are referring to like specific pieces of code or something, I think the chat is like 30 seconds behind. I could be wrong on that too. It might not be, but it's kind of hard for me to keep the context. Destination pointer requires a 0 sentinel. Okay, so what am I doing wrong? The function execute. Is execute internal? No, execute's not internal. It's public. So we have it up here. It's used. So we create this HTTP client in the HTTP file package, and then we execute that request. So that is public on the struct. Okay, so the part that I'm confused on, standard fumped alloc print sentinel. We've given it a sentinel, but it's unaware that it is a sentinel typed string. So let's take a look at maybe some docs. Or actually some tests would probably be even better. Actually, so every request could be stored in their own arena. Technically, every request is stored in its own arena. I probably don't have to do all this because I just drop the arena after every single request. So like here, let's main.zig. I'm sure somewhere we have exec right here. Yeah. So right here we have a run test method. The very first thing we do is we take that base allocator and we wrap it in an arena, and then we defer deinitializing the arena. Yes, we could not have to worry about that. We could just drop the arena. The part that's hard for me about this is two things. One, if we were to code everything as if it's in an arena and we drop the arena and we later decide for whatever reason we don't want to use an arena, we have to go back and add freeing of everything that we didn't free because we were just dropping with an arena. And it's so much easier for me to remember the things that I need to free when I'm creating them in the moment instead of like months later coming back and saying, oh, I need to free this and this and this. And the GPA can help, or the debug allocator can help point to the things that you need to free, but I feel like I would just rather do it on the fly. Yeah, should I be even using an arena allocator then? Maybe, I don't know. There's overhead, right? I could use sub arenas, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, sorry, lost in thought on sub allocators. That actually, or sub arenas, I should say. That actually could be something really helpful. HTTP client, that's where we were. Actually, sorry, we were over here in the browser. That's what we were doing. We were looking at our sentinels. That isn't valid code. It's missing parameters. Alloc print sentinel. Yep. Do I remember how to move this to its own window? That's super HTML on 2. Let's try this. So we'll take this, hop over to 2. I've lost it. I don't know where it went. Oh, Omarchy. Where did that window go? Okay, I've only got 5 workspaces. Where did that go? Oh, wait, it's right. It's right here. What did I... Oh, I sent the wrong thing. Okay, that makes more sense. Let's send that back to 3. Okay, hop over here, send this over to 2. Okay, cool. Honestly, we can close some of this at this point. How's this being used? Are there no tests for a lock print sentinel? What? Yeah, it does not look like there are. Really? Huh. Okay, so my issue here, two things. One, I need to reorganize these windows again, which, yes. Okay, cool. Glad I remembered that. So a lock print sentinel, we are printing the sentinel string. I'm pretty positive of that. In theory, we could. Are we failing at comp time? We are failing at comp time. Okay. Oh. That's gonna be frustrating if that is if that's really the solution, but okay, it is not. So our header items still have some issues. Cannot be cast. What am I missing here? The issue is that the type from a lock print sentinel is not giving me a C string. So maybe what might be easier here, Zig, fumped C string. Just see if there's any other options. A lock print. Yeah, thanks. Not helpful at all. A lock print Z or pointer cast. Oh, okay. We could just pointer cast the whole thing. It gives you a C string, but no no slice, const slice. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing here though that the it's not recognizing the sentinel as well on 95. Can we just pointer cast the entire thing? Is that safe? That doesn't seem safe. Who cares if it's safe? It gets us farther. Jokes aside, that is interesting. So I do think it is the correct type because we're using a lock print sentinel and we're storing everything. So it is technically the thing that we need. So we could pointer cast it there. That feels kind of gross. I don't know if there's a better solution. Like right here, the types are essentially not matching. And I'm saying, no, trust me, bro. This is actually the thing that it should be. And it happens to be. So it works fine at runtime. But like, yeah, this is a good idea to do. Is it possible to remove the pointer cast? Whoops. Oh no. What in the world? Is it possible to remove the pointer cast? Weird. Okay. This takes us to what, 108? Making progress down here then. Yeah, okay, so status code, we found an I32. So I think we should just be able to do standard HTTP status dot. We have methods on this, right? Class and phrase. Okay, maybe we don't. Do we have? We do have HTTP open. Show me status. Okay. What do we have available? We have phrase on an existing enum. We have class. Oh yeah. Enum from int. Thank you. Always forget about enum from int. I'm gonna tangent for a little second since you're here and you're listening, which is appreciated. So if you type Zig Zen, this shows you the Zen of Zig. Let me make this nice and big for you so it's really easy to read. Yeah, keep it all on one line. Okay, communicate intent precisely. I think Zig does a great job of this. Edge cases matter. I agree. I think that Zig does a good job of making that relevant. Favor reading code over writing code. Okay, sure, I vibe with it. Only one obvious way to do things. Sometimes I think there's maybe other obvious ways to do things too, and sometimes there's zero obvious ways and many ways to do things. Runtime crashes are better than bugs. I think I agree with that. Compile time errors are better than runtime crashes. Totally agree with that. Anyways, I could go through all this, but here's the one that trips me up. Reduce the amount one must remember. And the reason I'm complaining about that, and I am complaining about it, I won't try to hide it, is if we hop back over here and then we go to Zig, sure, if we type standard library, it'll get us there. Zig language reference. This built-in functions. These are just functions. They exist. They're in the global scope. You have they're provided by the compiler and they're prefixed with the @ symbol. You have to know these, right? Like, and the list goes on. I mean, like, look, we have what? There's 2 per row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This gives us 15 from here to here. So what? This is 30. I don't know. We're probably looking at like 80 built-ins, right? Maybe more. And some of these you may never use. This one I use all the time, all puns intended. Field, sometimes. Field parent pointer, you get in some weird cases where you need to use field parent pointer, and there's not really a way to do it without using field parent pointer, but you have to know that that's available. So I guess my complaint, if there's one thing, I'm swapping the wrong thing. If there's one thing that, oh my goodness, there we go. I would like for us to do better. It's built-ins and reduce the amount that one must remember. I wish there was a better way to encapsulate those in something that is more obvious, because also a lot of times the built-ins aren't obvious. Okay, let me shrink this back down to something I can actually work with, and then let's hop back over here. We have our enum from int. Let's give it a shot and see how it works. Cool, moves us along. 112, we have a header iterator, but to get that header iterator, we need to do some stuff. So let's specifically do a try right here. Guys, is it just me or the async demo by Loris? Most of it doesn't exist in 0.15.1. Which demo are you referring to? And regardless, the answer to your question is it doesn't exist in 0.15.1. The main thing that has happened in 0.15.1 is preparing for async. So we have the new IO package, we have writer gate, we have some changes that are essentially going to make IO make it easier for us to adopt async whenever it is ready. Yeah, Brian, it's in the 1.16. It was for a preview. Yes, it was. If you're on 0.14 whatever, I still recommend upgrading to 0.15.1. It's a bit of a pain. It can be depending on how big the project is, but it'll help make the transition to 0.16 even easier. And if you choose to use, a main like a nightly build, a nightly build of Zig, it'll make the transition even easier for you to start using async earlier. Okay. Yeah, we added try there. Let's give this a run. I'm not going to go too much longer, but I would really love to get a request going with curl, even if it's not one-to-one and maybe there's some bugs with it, at least getting the flow working the same way. So let's see if we can maybe knock that out. Does this return next returns a error? Really? Is that normal? Okay, sure. 0.14. Okay, just make this easier on me so I don't have to run zig build run every single time. No field name value instruct, easy response. Header 114. Yep, you got it. What is this then? Header dot. Gets the first value associated with it. Applications need to copy the data if they want to keep it around. When does it go out of scope, I guess is the question. Also, where did I just go? I swap files somehow? I don't know how long that's kept around. If it, is ephemeral and will get dropped shortly after I'm done with it, that's probably fine. But if it, gets dropped right away after I do the git, if I'm not duping it, yeah, I don't know. I'll need to figure that out. Yeah, async and master is currently not in a good state. Yes, I don't recommend trying it now. Soon, hopefully, I would love to have one more really big breaking change, which is async, and then maybe not have major breaking changes for a while. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, what else? So no field name body. Oh yeah. We it's just rest body. That's a typo on my part. Should get us there. Okay, cool. This actually we're running with curl now instead of Zig's HTTP client. This means that I can actually implement the rest of the spec where we can specify the HTTP version that we want to use, and I'll have to actually implement that piece here in curl as well so that we can do that. I might spend a few more minutes, maybe 15, looking at the time, 2:30. I haven't had lunch yet. Yeah, I'll spend 15 more minutes on this, and we'll just see if we can get some of these debug issues resolved. So message URL using bad illegal format or missing URL. I wait for it and hope that I'll have a build script for OpenSSL that does not need to clone the repo and prepare files. I want to start writing servers backend in Zig. Yeah, me too. So a while back I did some investigation on like http.zig and Zap. And I really liked http.zig, but it's also 1.1 HTTP spec compliant, I think. But I would love to actually start writing more backends in Zig. That's one of my bigger projects I have planned. Is I've got this project called Dust. So if I come up here and go to Dust, why is there a Chat GPT hotkey? Come on, DHH. Dust books / Dust server. Take me there. Get captions for your audio and video. What? Okay. Yeah, I've got this project called Dust, which I really, really love. I've built this in TypeScript with Dino, and the front end is just lit web components. But the whole point is, I would love to convert this to Zig and try it out because it's a pretty large project at this point. If we looked at the server, there's it looks small, but bear with me. There's a fair bit that goes on here. So there's, admin middleware, admin routes, a data layer, the module itself, which is maybe not so relevant, but more of an architectural decision. Routing, user management, user service, all of that type of stuff, and then some cataloging and like some database stuff. Um, the books stuff has quite a bit. So there's like an external metadata service that fetches metadata from library sources like Google APIs with the Google Books, and shoot, whatever the other one is, Open Library, I think. Anywho's, I'd love to like take this and try to slowly convert this over to Zig, both for the performance improvements that we would definitely see, and then also like, can Zig build these meaningful things for me? I should say. Of course, it can. We have Bun and Zig, and we have Tiger Beetle and Zig, and Ghosty and Zig. So some really great options. But I just, will it work for my needs? I guess is what I'm getting at. Because I've been building these smaller projects with it for a while now, and I like the language a lot. Maybe more so than most other, actually more so than most other languages. Maybe more so than every other language. So I would love to get into a spot where I'm, using it for just about everything. And the cool thing is you can use it for just about everything. Okay, so curl error 3, message URL using bad illegal format or missing URL. Where do we pass in the URL? It's up here, right? So, por qué? Why is it illegal? What is illegal about this? Okay, let's http bin test. Let's just take a look. Okay, that looks like a valid URL. Yeah, I've used PHP, Go, TypeScript for my backends, and I currently use HTTP1 on the backend behind Nginx. There's the HTTP1 must, yeah, yeah, that key problem. I've used PHP as well. I actually Go still like I will probably use Go for a very, very long time. It's a really fantastic language. It is one of the languages I have the fewest complaints about. So Go might stick around for me, but if I was writing PHP, I'd be getting that out as quickly as I could. And then TypeScript for backends, yeah, maybe situationally, maybe. But everyone's different, right? Like, so, just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean that that makes sense for everyone. All right, what the heck are we doing wrong here? So we're duping request URL, but it is a bad or illegal format or missing URL. Let's see. I'm just going to grab this message and we'll hop over here. I'm getting quicker at moving around with Omarchy. No spaces. Oh, it needs to be enclosed in double quotes if that's the case. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm not going to find a ton of information there. So maybe the simplest thing here would be to do like a standard debug print comp time s. Let's just print that URL. What do we got? I'm sorry, what? What did, what? Okay. Okay, the URL's not showing up. Why is it an empty string? Yeah, the URL is... Are there any extra characters here that I should know about? No, okay. Why is the URL empty? So we're duping it. What is the request URL? Let's just yank that, paste that up here, and change this to request URL, and then change this to request.url. Oh. Oh, the request URL is empty too. What? Are we... How? How are we getting to this point? Oh. No. Okay. How? What did we change that would cause this issue? So nothing, right? Nothing regarding how these files are looked up. Let's go to references for execute. Execute request. So we get our request here. We have a pointer. Go to references. Main.zig. Where does this come from? Okay, so we have a toOwn slice. We have an allocator, items, http parser.parse file. Okay, we are getting our file content, which is good. I was worried there for a minute that some of the changes that I've made either to support Linux or some of the changes I should have made to support Linux weren't working fully, but we are getting our file content, which is good. Makes me think that we have an issue with our parsing then. Oops, that would be an issue. Go to definition. So our requests are empty. We're appending down here. What is current request? It's an HTTP request, so it should have a name. Oh, yeah, let's... So it should be URL then, right? Appending request. Somewhere, somehow. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Okay. I know what our issue is, and oh yeah. Okay, so all of this needs to go back, right? All of our parsing logic. Yep. Okay. Now we're gonna have to fix a bunch of stuff. So the issue was that we were essentially using the null HTTP method to determine whether something we're using it as a part of the parser. It's bad. And in fact, I'm going to add another to do null HTTP method should not be critical to properly parsing. Yeah, that was a terrible decision I made a long time ago, and living with the consequences of it now. For now, though, that will be a problem for future me. So instead, what we need to do is we'll come into like 96, where we are using the method. Or else. Oh my gosh. Zig or else. I can just, it's just return error, right? Or else 0, a block. Hey, I think I should just be able to or else return error. Or else return errors dot request method not set. Error, not errors. This is not go. Okay, that'll take care of one of those. Yeah, okay, cool. Actually, it took care of both. That I could have swore there would have been another spot where I needed to handle that, but I guess not. Okay, so we have our request URL. Great. So we actually have URLs now. We're expecting a 403, but we got a 404, which is good. That test is intended to fail to prove that failures work like we would expect. Let's clean these up, run it again, make sure we're not logging a bunch of debug logs. We are. Yep. I forgot that I had a print response function that we could have used for all of this. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was on a roll and the chat slipped past me. For me, it's mostly the standard. PHP's primary rendering. TypeScript Node is a mess, no real standards, and Go has good standard, but sometimes why is it different? Why is it that in a different library under X? Oh yeah, okay. So there's a lot there to peel apart. So your Go question about some of it being under X, that's experimental. So it's stuff that the Go team is like looking at as an experiment, and it may or may not be included into the standard library at some point. You're agreeing that if you're using that, you're using experimental code essentially. I don't think I was missing the /0. This was a parsing issue because of a terrible, terrible decision I made to include, while parsing, the lack of a valid enum for the status. Since the status is essentially the very first thing you have to pull from the HTTP file spec, if that status was not set, I was assuming that we were not actually in a valid block to parse. So that was definitely an issue on my part. Did you use Windows prior? No, I mentioned this earlier. I used, well, yes and no. So over here, I've got a Windows PC that is running all of my recording stuff, and this microphone's connected to that. This webcam's connected to that. And then I use an Elgato capture card to my now framework laptop, this guy, if you can see it. Running on Arch. And then before that, I was using a MacBook Pro that I've used Mac OS for 15 years now, and then Windows for 25 years now, I guess. Mostly Windows for gaming and just personal computing, and then development has basically been a Mac for me for the past 15 years. I have some opinions on a lot of that, and I'll probably put out a video sometime soon talking about those if you'd like to learn more. Okay, cool. So our tests are running successfully. One of those is a little concerning. Expected body to contain Leanne got nothing. So let's take a look at that one. And it is actually basically time for me to bounce so I can get some food, but we'll talk about that, or I'll do that shortly. Okay, so let's just grab a browser. HTTPS :// JSON placeholder type of code github.com/user/1. Okay, cool. So we have some issues, right? We're expecting our body to contain Leanne Graham. It totally does contain Leanne Graham, but it is not parsing properly. So if we go back to our HTTP client and then take a look at this standard debug print, resp body. What are we looking at? It's there. There's Leanne Graham. So what did we break? Oh, I'm curious. So we have our writer. Okay, let's follow this trail, right? So we have our writer. We're deinitializing our writer at the end of this. So this can't just be buffered anymore. This needs to be self.allocator.dupe. Yeah, and this needs to be a try. Oh, yep. Probably need to give this a type. Okay. Oh, this is silly of me. I said I may need to copy the header value into memory. I am copying it into memory right there. So I think we're good on that front. I do see some more issues, but for the most part, like this is executing properly. We're seeing those bodies that we're expecting to see. I could hop over here and maybe run just a single file. So we can do like test.http spec. I need to throw the flags in there. Okay, and this is this invalid free is unfortunately known. It's on the list to fix. Doesn't look like any issues with actually running the assertions though, which is good. So we had the body there. Let's remove that. Clean that up. Run this one more time. Yep. And that main.zig invalid free. So that invalid free is happening where we essentially have arguments that are being passed in. So if we weren't to pass in arguments and we were to just look everything up, it would work fine. So it's this collect spec files here. And I am essentially this should just be, we have an allocator in scope. We do allocator dot dupe. It'll be a U8. Yeah, I think that should take care of that. Yeah, always forgetting to break apart the error union. Bada bing. Okay, cool. And then we expected body to contain non-existent and got something else. Test.http spec. We're passing on our Leanne Graham. We're expecting this one to contain non-existent, but it doesn't contain a non-existent. It's got a full thing, which is good. Test with some failing assertions to show diagnostics. Okay, cool. I think we're in a good spot. We have oh. That's interesting. So maybe we have an issue with headers still. You know what I'm curious about? What do we get? Zig build test. Let's actually run our unit tests here and see how things handle. Okay, that's good. Didn't expect that. Makes me think that maybe we have an issue with our headers. So we get our headers here. That's us writing the headers to curl. Here's us getting our headers back right down here. So let's do header.name and then also header.get. And we'll throw a new line in there so I don't go crazy trying to parse this. Okay, so we have some headers, right? They're here. We're seeing them. Expected the content type to be text/plain, but the header was missing. Content type is also application JSON. It is not. I probably want to lowercase all of this. Yes, no. Oh, interesting design decision. Sure. Standard ASCII lower. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine to do that. I'm not going to do that in line. That's gross. So I'll set this to n. This will be standard ASCII lowercase self.allocator. There are more than one content type, and there are case insensitive by HTTP spec. Yeah, you're totally right. Specifically, well, both of those cases you're totally right about, but the one that I think is most concerning for me at the moment is the case insensitivity. So let's give that a go. Let's give this a run. Always forgetting the try. Cool. Yeah, this works. I mean, the test is designed to fail, but it's designed to fail because of an invalid content type, not a missing content type. So I think we should be good there. Okay. It's 40 minutes past when I said I was going to stop. So I thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and enjoy the stream. I'm going to call it here and push these changes up. And I'll probably play around with this a little bit more and do some more testing as time goes. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to tune in. I think that's it. So have a great day.